So do you want me to go from there?
Well, hang on one second. I'm just waiting to I'm opening the live stream up on my phone and it's not there yet. So there's okay, here we go. Woohoo! Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Let me just get that set up to not fall over. Hey, Christina. Thanks for joining us live. And thank you for friends that are joining us on replay. Please let us know in the chat if you're watching this on replay and if you have any questions. My name is Daniela. I'm one of the educators and founders of Great Energy, and I'm really happy to be here with a longtime friend and colleague, Lori Rossie. Hi, Lori.
Hi, how's everyone?
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Lori in a minute, so I'm really happy to see her amazing, beautiful energy. So, Lori, thank you for making some time for us this evening.
Anytime.
And the topic of our conversation this evening has two parts, friends. The first part, but we'll probably go in reverse order. How fine is a four-letter word. Fine is a midlife four-letter word. And then we want to talk a bit about how I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago called What if the most spiritual thing you could do for yourself is to care for your physical body? And so we want to talk about the role of caring for the physical layer of your being and its relationship to your spiritual journey. Lori is Lori has had so many cool chapters in her life. She is an incredibly compassionate, caring, and knowledgeable practitioner and healer of quantum QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis. Lori works with the modality of the body code, the belief code, the emotion code. And Lori also has been on her own journey with the ketogenic diet. And if I'm not mistaken, this may not be the exact term, you have clients that you coach and you assist and facilitate their growth and healing through the keto diet, correct?
Yes, and also what I do that's also a little different is I combine the body code with the ketogenic diet. And so that not only are you feeding that physical body and healing that, but we're looking at where are those trapped emotions and imbalances in the body and what can we release just to to make that healing complete.
Yeah. And we were talking before we started the live stream, and the conversation we were having was about how essential, like if you want to experience yourself as your true identity, as the spiritual being that you really are, having this human experience, it is so strange that in our culture and in the journey of spirituality from the 70s, 80s, the 90s into the 2000s and onward, how the care of the attending to the physical layer just continued to decline. It
Mm.
became less important. Things stayed up in the upper chakras, right? And in a much more metaphysical and visualization. All of that is amazing and incredible. And our culture currently is in a crisis of health and well-being.
Hmm.
So I wonder, Lori, if you can just tell us a bit about your journey, your spiritual journey, and what clicked in place for you as you brought more attention to the physical layer. How did that impact your experience of your spiritual journey? And love to learn about the principles of the ketogenic diet.
All right, well, that is a lot. So we'll go back to when I was like many people, just walking around like a head. That's it. I ignored everything below my head. I didn't need anything, did not need touch. I didn't need friends, keep it on the surface. Um, if someone wanted to give me a hug, I was like, oh, thanks. Um, can you stay over there? And a lot of that changed when my mom became sick. She had metastasized breast cancer. And I came back here to New York, and I wanted to do something. My background had been as a chef and nutrition and management and all kinds of things like that, but that's way too many hours if I'm going to be here helping her. And so my my mantra at the time when I think it was 36, push myself outside my comfort zone. So the thing I could think of that would push me the furthest was, I think I'll go to massage school, where
So
I
much.
am I am now touching people and letting people touch me. And it was so far outside, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Wow.
And it was the first step in the journey because I was allowing people to see who I really was. Because, like when we talked about the whole fine, I'm fine. No one needs to see who I am. No one cares. No one wants that explanation. No one wants to see any of your flaws. And massage school allowed me to understand that they weren't flaws. These were beautiful parts of my body. Everyone has a beautiful body, and so many people would come to me when I was a massage therapist and oh, I'm so sorry you have to touch my body, and I'm like,
Oh, oh
it,
my
it, it
gosh, that's
was
making me cry
I'm like, that is the furthest thing from my mind. And they're
Oh,
like, oh, you have to touch the fat, or I didn't shave my legs, and I'm like, listen, I am looking at your muscles. I am feeling the fascia. I am understanding where these tensions are and how this connected to your body and how you lived and how your amazing body, even though you had this pain, you just contorted yourself in another way to keep going on. So that was really my first big step and brought me to uh, finding more about these emotions because physical touch, okay, now I got that down. Emotions, um, I don't know if I'm really supposed to be like feeling things or discussing them because other than anger or happiness, none of the emotions are really very acceptable. People don't know what to do if you're filled with grief or sorrow or guilt. It's common to just kind of, well, they should just get over it. I mean, it's been a hot minute, so hasn't this been long enough? But everyone has a process, and I randomly picked up this book called The Body Code. And as I got to about the 10th page, I'm like, I don't know what this magic is, but I need to learn it. I need to experience it. I had a session for myself, and she immediately started talking about heart walls. And heart walls are fun little things that we do to ourselves where our emotions are too overwhelming or we're not able to process them being that we're too young or it's just not available, so we're like, oh, let me just build this little wall here filled with these negative emotions so I can protect myself. And that's what it is. It's a survival mechanism. But what happens is as we go through life we still have this wall, and it makes the positive emotions, love, joy, understanding, connection, much harder to get through. And also, when we experience any of these emotions that are trapped in that wall or trapped in our bodies, such as anger, such as grief, such as guilt, we can get really triggered. And so, what used to happen to me is situations would come up in my life, and I would just dwell on it, days, running scenarios in my head. What if I said this? What if I said that? What if they said this? What if this happened this way? Just this whole big, elaborate thing. And then I had my first body code session, and they removed that heart wall. And the first thing I felt was just as if I had a big backpack on, and I took it off, and it was like, oh, I just feel lighter. That was the biggest thing. And then a situation came up in my life that I normally would have dwelled on for at least, 5 to 7 days. And I didn't. It just was like, oh, okay, that's a little upsetting, but and that was the end of it. And I'm like, my God, I need to learn this and share it with the world. And so here's my healing journey. I've now allowed physical touch, and now I've healed that emotional aspect. But you know the part I ignored? I ignored my own body, and I ignored uh, to the point of saying I'm fine. My view of myself when I looked in the mirror, I'm fine. That's it's good enough. It's okay. I just didn't admit where I was. And I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now. I kind of thought maybe something might be wrong with my blood sugar. Yes, I had full blown diabetes, high blood pressure. And every time if I had to go to a doctor, I would just say, "Oh, I get nervous around those white coats." Meanwhile, it's like sky high blood pressure. So on my birthday, because when else would you like to do a doctor's appointment? Uh, this was I think 2 or 3 years ago. I went to the doctor and I said, I believe I have high blood pressure. I believe I've got a sugar problem, and I'd really like to lose weight. And they ran blood tests, and the doctor's like, "Oh my God, your A1C is over 10." And I'm like, "Okay, what part are you not understanding that I just told you all this?" Um, so they immediately want to put me on medication, and I'm like, no, no, I will figure out how to do this. And so they gave me a month to try to change things. And so I would search and, okay, cut back on sugars, cut back on carbs. What does that really mean? I hear so many people with diabetes say, well, I watch my sugars.
Okay.
You watch them do what? As they go in your mouth? I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. So I ended up going on medication, and they had to keep upping it because it wasn't bringing anything down. And I ended up being on 3 different medications plus high blood pressure medication, and I was miserable.
Mm.
And so it was probably a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more than that now. I was painting my kitchen, and my heart started racing. And it's one of the side effects of the medications. I was like, that's it. That's it. I took them all. I threw them away. I do not recommend that to anyone, but I threw them all away. I'm like, done. I am going to find the answer because I know I can figure this out. And so I started doing research, and I researched the keto diet, and I researched carnivore, and I tried it, but it wasn't quite there. Like it wasn't quite there. And I found the Emmerichs, Maria Emmerich, who completely reminds me of you.
Oh,
100%. It's your, she's your soul sister.
oh, that's so
Uh,
funny.
totally is your soul sister. And they taught me like how the body works, like how it's prioritizing proteins, prioritizing fat, what your body needs, and just the whole understanding of our entire digestive system.
Education every single person needs to have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
before, I'm just want to like pause for a second. If there's a video you can share in the chat in the comments after that would give people that 101 education, that would
Mm-hmm.
be a fantastic addition to this. If you can think of one, that would be a really, 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 it doesn't have to be short, right? Because the good
Yeah.
information is riveting. Okay,
Yeah.
so back to your story. So you're getting this information. You're like,
So getting this
how
information,
all
and I'm still like, we're bombarded. Take this supplement, take
I
this
know.
herb, try the cabbage diet, try the egg fast, try, all of this stuff.
Grapefruit
I
diet.
Yeah, I did intermittent fasting. I tried vegetarian. I was doing everything. And so they gave me the information saying, listen, when your metabolic disease has gotten to this point here, carbohydrates are poison to your body. And that was like, wait, what? Don't we have to have carbohydrates? And the answer is no. There are no essential carbohydrates. Now, that does not mean carbohydrates are bad or vilified, but when someone's system has gone to the point where it's like done. I'm done with you. I've been trying to give you all these little hints that things are wrong, and you didn't listen. So now we're shutting this off. Insulin resistance is not letting any of those carbohydrates in, and so they're floating around your blood, going. I guess we'll just go in these fat cells.
Right. They're comfy.
Let's
They're
just they're there.
they're soft and cushy. Let's
Yeah, yeah. Let's just build those up. so so it was this big okay, and I still wasn't sold. I wasn't sold. And so I did one of their challenges with them. It was 30 days, and I just was like, I don't know. I've tried everything. Why is this so much different? And the the keto community is like, well, if you're having these issues, eat more fat. And the Emmerichs were saying, if you eat more fat, your body's not going to burn your fat. And I'm like, well, it makes sense, but there's so many other people saying this. So I did it. First time ever, I lost weight. By the second week, my blood pressure was normal.
Wow.
Normal. And it's been normal ever since. By the end of the month, my blood sugars, which even on medication were 200 for my fasting. And that was like, I'm not eating any carbohydrates. Where's this coming from? But my body was just so tired.
Mm.
By the end of the month, it had dropped into the 160s.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, this is this is something that I am going to. I became a coach with them. I learned it, and I'm like, this is something people need to know because they need to understand how their body works. Um, and she's someone that used to work in coffee shops, so she loved pastries and everything. So she's one that makes like all kinds of uh, uh, treats. But her husband, who is actually a marketing person, but he's super interested in the physiology of the body and how it works. And so he does a lot of the science and studies it and gets that information out there. Um, so then, I'm doing all this, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I could show people how to like eat and uh, you know, um, release those emotions that they've been holding on to, all the imbalances, and just love themselves more. And being a massage therapist, I could bring that little tool in and show people how to connect to their body. Um, yeah, so that's my little like keto blip. Still doing keto, still love it. Are there things I miss? Um, some days, but I still can't eat dairy. I still it causes way too much inflammation, and most keto can. Uh, but if you're trying to lose weight, dairy is inflammatory, and so are nuts. But I've been able to eat a few nuts every now and then, which I couldn't just 6 months ago.
So let me
Um,
ask you a question. If
yeah.
you're not able to eat dairy, right? Like I'm not able to eat dairy. And so my pathway for nourishing my body is very paleo. What is the and paleo doesn't have dairy, so it's pretty easeful for me
Hmm.
to work with paleo recipes. If you're doing keto without dairy, what is the difference between keto without dairy and paleo?
Uh, Paleo, you can have things like honey and maple syrup.
Yeah, okay.
And with keto, that's that's a no-go.
Mm.
So paleo is fantastic, but see, my body being in the metabolic state it was, and I know eventually I will get back to that point where it's like, oh yeah, some maple syrup, or some. Um, I actually had some strawberries the other day, for the first time in months, but berries in season, and not just strawberries like constantly and then pouring sugar over them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Got it.
uh, the keto that I encourage uses allulose as a sweetener, and allulose is it's a sweet fiber that's found in figs. And actually I just saw a report that was talking about cacao, and talking about the coating that they normally toss out, they just found is sweet and fibrous.
Oh, interesting.
So it's actually chocolate's like this complete little package,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh,
um, that will because I love chocolate. I adore chocolate. Um, and a lot of the sugar-free chocolate has stevia, and stevia can get a bitter taste. Some people do better than others. Monk fruit's another good one, but it upsets my stomach. Some people get that. But the um, it's the healing your body, and the reason why with people with like autoimmune diseases that I would recommend either keto, or I have recommended like a strict carnivore, is because those foods are not going to challenge your body. So if you're just eating beef, salt, and water, your body is not going to have to like, okay, we need to work on um, taking care of this inflammation, getting rid of these um, anti-nutrients. That was a whole big shocker to me. Not to go off on a tangent here, but
oh no,
I
it's
I,
totally
I
cool.
love vegetables. I adore vegetables. Spinach, my God, I ate spinach 3 times a week. I had no idea the oxalates in spinach. And when I went to the keto diet and started doing that, and it started going into my fat cells and opening them up, the oxalates came out. My eyes swelled up. They were so red. And it was just the oxalates were just trying to get out of my body that I had stored for years.
Oh, that's wild. And sometimes people get stones, right? From
Yeah,
it
yeah,
that
especially almonds.
Mhm.
Because oh, no gluten, no flours. Let's use almonds. So then they make almond muffins and almond coating, and you can give yourself kidney stones.
Mhm. Mhm. Um,
I know I was jumping around a lot.
no, no, no. I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier in the previous segment, and I was just so present to as I was listening to you, and what you're describing now is just how important it is when we're embarking on the path, the spiritual path of caring for the physical layer of our body, that it is so important to have someone knowledgeable in your camp, whether it
Mhm.
is a functional medicine practitioner, whether it's an osteopath, whether it's a skillful naturopath, whether it's a keto coach. For me, to heal my gut and autoimmune, I went the autoimmune protocol, the AIP route, which
Mhm.
evolves into paleo, which then can evolve into keto. But for autoimmune and healing gut, AIP and paleo is in my opinion, is also a good starting point, a very sound starting point.
Absolutely. And the important thing is there's no one size fits all.
That was my point, is that
Uh,
when you have someone that can help to, like, your labs pointed the way of, given your set of causes and conditions,
mhm.
this is the best pathway for you. My labs said, and
100%.
I, right? So I can't say, oh, this is the gold standard, that's better than this. Based on my labs, based on what was going in my physical body,
Mhm.
it made the most sense to go this pathway. So it's very important to go guided with someone that isn't married to only one way, that actually can look at your data and say, based on all these factors, this seems like the smartest starting point, and here's
Right.
the evolutionary trajectory.
Absolutely. Because and that's what I've found, just with the people I'm coaching. Um, I have one gentleman that's had problems with tinnitus. Um, but I think it was caused by many different things. And so, immediately you think autoimmune, okay, go carnivore for this bit. There's no way he could. He was big sweet tooth. So I got him to go keto. And actually, a pretty, he was uh, still having dairy a lot, still having nuts. Um, I would go over to his house and test some things, and I'm like, those Doritos are not keto. Uh, they they've got a lot of stuff in them that's not so good. Uh, so, but really, all of this, the the 80% that he followed it for him, he was able to like knock that noise down enough to get back into work, um, uh, to actually like enjoy life and start doing things again. Where he was really kind of uh, uh, trapped in his house, uh, to
Yeah.
say. Um, but yeah, everyone is different. Everyone has their own needs and the way their body responds. Your body is going to tell you what you need. Now, I've had people where I've said that, and they're like, "Yeah, but my body needs Oreos." I'm like,
Yeah, it's a slippery slope with the
ah,
old intuitive eating, and, oh, just tune into what your body needs. Through the Ayurvedic lens, for example, oftentimes when we have any imbalance, we crave. So, for example, if someone has a pitta imbalance, too much heat,
mm-hmm,
it's not uncommon for people to crave more spicy things. That is not
mm-hmm.
what you need. And yet
Right,
you're craving, and we can innocently think that my craving is what my body needs. So
right.
there's a little more to it than, oh, whatever you feel like having is what you need. Is it?
Yeah, and
We don't know
I
what we don't know until
exactly.
someone's in our world helping us with
E
that. I had no idea.
Exactly, and I try to show people how to do, muscle testing, where I use my pendulum, but you can do, the sway test, so if you sit up just without your back against the chair, and if you say, "Show me yes," it's much easier standing, but if you show me yes, you can start feeling your body kinda moving a little forward, and show me no, your body starts moving a little bit back. It's a little more difficult when you're sitting. It's much easier when you're standing to actually feel that. And to hold different things like supplements, like food items. Is this what's best for my body right now? Now, the caveat with that is if you really want it, like, it's a Reese's peanut butter cup and it's my dream. I love these. Um, your body sometimes goes, all right, it makes them happy. But if you do eat that, you'll find that it just doesn't taste the same because, my God, our memories of food are way stronger than anything. We have such our senses like smell and taste are just so entrenched with memory, that we want to relive this time, this special time. And I think that's why there's candy in the store all the time. Everybody wants to relive that time you got the Easter basket and there was little chocolates in there. Let's have chocolates all year long. And let's just put a new label on each one. So there you can have this, but it's not the same. And so people eat tons of it because they're trying, like, well, maybe if I eat a little bit more, I can get that memory. Maybe if I eat this kind, it'll give me that same really euphoric memory uh and and feeling of being and belonging.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very powerful. I will till my final exhale, I will say definitively that I think like Hostess coffee cakes and cheese puffs are freaking delicious. Right? Like now, will I eat them? Probably never again, because what I also have experienced once I created space with time and distance in my body and allowed it to really, really reset without any influence of refined sugars and processed foods. And processed foods, friends, like it's a little bit of a, you grow up in an area that has access to Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and Green Stars and things. Just because it's made by Aunt Annie's organic cheese smiles, they're still cheese puffs.
Hmm.
So that said, once I created enough space and distance, and how I was nourishing myself was with only, with no exception, real foods that I cooked at home, whole foods, nothing from crinkly packages. If it crinkles and it comes in a box, question it, right? So or if it can come from a bag, if it's one ingredient, like tiger nut
Yeah,
flour, like
exactly.
that's like like that's it. Or carob flour. Then all of a sudden, for the first time, I really got, oh, these are my authentic rhythms of hunger. Oh, this is how and why I need this much protein for my body, because I start to you become much more sensitive
Hmm.
and receptive to the messages of your body. Processed foods cloud your ability to receive the messages from your body in a very, very subtle way. So I became finally crystal clear on protein needs, um, how long between meals, right? Snacking is not an optimal way to
Mm-mm.
live. If you have enough protein and you have enough healthy fat, and I'll shouldn't this, you shouldn't be hungry for 4 hours. Like,
No, and your body needs that time to rest. You can't be like, oh God, we need more insulin again. She's eating again. You know,
exactly, exactly.
and we were taught that, like, especially people with diabetes and metabolic issues. They're like, eat, 8 to 10 small meals a day.
Oh, and 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrate, of breads and like
Yeah,
everything white, all white foods.
yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Now I'll give you that. I do know it's hard when people are working all day and oh my God, we don't have anything planned. Um, so, the big thing is, if you make something, make a bunch of it
Well,
and
that's
freeze. I
yep.
freeze it in individual portions all the
Yeah.
time.
I
So those
batch cook all
times,
the
yeah,
time.
yeah. And when I don't feel like cooking, it's there. And that stops me from, and what you were saying with the snacks and everything kind of dulling everything. So you're needing to eat more and more and more because you're like, I'm trying to get through that feeling. Why do you think people can eat an entire bag of chips? A whole bag. First off, your brain loves that crunchy. It loves the texture, the sound. It's like, oh, we're crunching things. And you can just go through the whole bag and not even realize it. Yeah, it's just gone.
Yep. And how many millions of dollars went into the assurance that that would be the effect,
Yeah.
right? That was not that is not just a random outcome.
Yeah. And the craziest thing is looking at everything that contains sugar. I found sugar in the bone broth list. I mean, you have to flip everything around and just look, because if you're going to buy something that isn't a one food product, like with paleo is mostly just one food. You buy apples, you buy chicken, um, but if you're going to buy something that's on the shelf, you better turn it around and look at those ingredients, because sugar isn't everything, because they know it's addictive.
And fillers, right? So I drink a lot of coconut
Yes.
milk. And there are very few brands of coconut milk that you can purchase that don't have guar gum and other fillers.
Hmm.
And some of them, if you look, you think you're looking at coconut milk and you turn it around, it's a paragraph of ingredients, right? And
Mm,
coconut milk on its own sounds pretty healthy. So
right.
you really have to read. You can't assume that it's simple. And so the fewer words and the less fillers and the less sugars, there don't need to be any.
No.
And when the sugars are added, you lose touch with your authentic appetite. You lose touch with that on off. Um,
Hmm.
it changes everything.
So many people, they don't want to listen to their authentic appetite because, well, I'm busy right now, I'll just eat later. And if they wait till later, then they're ravenous, and you're eating like five things as you're thinking about whatever it is that you're going to make to actually eat, like the real eating. Um, and the other part of that, I'm trying to not lose my train of thought here,
It's
that was
okay.
kind of going out. um ah, it's gone, must not have been important. Later.
um, I okay, so let me ask you this. How have you experienced your own connection with what you would say is your spiritual nature through the pathway of attending to your body, attending to your I see I would assert that this is probably true for you. I know it was for me and it is for a lot of my clients. That you have to want a level 10 out of 10 to feel certain things in your life or to have access to certain things in your life, or you won't have the capacity to make these changes. I
Mm-hmm.
for myself, I what I wanted a 10 out of 10 was the return of my great energy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to feel relaxed in myself. And when your system is off, you're going to experience sensations of inner tension. Your nervous system is going to feel dysregulated. You may experience anxiousness, depression,
Mm-hmm.
lethargy, right? The tendency to be sedentary. All of these things are the effect of
Mm-hmm.
your body out of balance. So when
Right.
I felt mine out of balance, I really resolved, I want to feel phenomenal, 10 out of 10, and I will do anything and everything I have to do because I value that outcome more than I value the taste of anything I may have been used to or anything else. And so then my next question was, if I want it a 10 out of 10, who and what do I need to bring into my world to help me get there? If I can't just do it on my own,
Mm-hmm.
what care, what support structure do I need in my life to get me there? And that was a team of people that all had different jobs at different times. You know, I needed good lab work. I needed reliable lab work. I needed someone that was going to help me sort through okay, well, if my primary doctor is saying, oh, this level of vitamin of this level of 13 of ferritin is fine, but we know it's not.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Because on the in the standard scale, the normal goes 13 to like 90. Now, in the functional medicine ranges of optimal ranges, you should feel like dog shit at
Mm-hmm.
level 13 ferritin, and very likely your hair is falling out and you're dragging. And you may feel depressed and anxious all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And you really, everything just kind of has a gloomy hue. Well, that's what low ferritin, low B12, low D3 does for you. So, my question to you, long preamble, is what had you say I'm doing this and to stay steady in it? Even because even at the beginning of like, I'm going to get myself well again, we're not feeling well at that point,
Mm-mm.
right? It's not like, go team, you know?
No, no. And, here's the thing. Like, I toyed with every diet in the world. Like I said, I was just this head. Um, for me, it was feeling those side effects. That was like, nah, 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 nah. It's not going to happen. I'm never doing this again. And that's why just that act of throwing the medication away.
Mm,
And then I was like in a little panic going,
yeah.
now what do I do? And I did think a couple of times about going back in the trash and getting it.
Fair.
Like,
Yep.
nope, nope. You are going to figure this out. Or like you said, I'm going to find somebody to help me figure this out. And this is it. And I was so in. Now, not everybody's there. Some people can be there like that, just like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Other people, part of the being all in is really, for me, it was finding that I was worthy. And that was a huge, huge part of that emotional healing that I needed to go through. Just layer upon layer of not feeling worthy. So why would I ever take care of my body if I'm not worthy? And not everybody has the same thing. Everyone is different. And so really it's looking within, it's finding that what is going to be, people will say your why.
That
It's just
you
it's
took
just
the
like
thought right out of my mind.
it's
Yep.
just like people coming off of any kind of addictions. They're so stigmatized, but really food has become our addiction. And just man, we've got commercials for it. Like, would you like more of your addiction today? We can get you, you can get biggie ones, and two, for just $1 extra. uh but even with addictions, there's plenty of people that they try, they fail, they try, they fail, but then there's that one time that they're like, I'm doing this. And it's that strength inside. And people have said to me, well, I don't know what my strength is. I can't find it. I'm lost. Well, there's a lot of emotional healing that needs to go on. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of people will start things and going, hey, it's January 1st, the only day you can start any kind of routine, apparently. Um, or a Monday. It has to be a Monday. It can't be a Sunday, because
Wednesday.
that's like you're recovering from the weekend. It has to be a Monday. And if you mess up on Monday, you got to wait till the next Monday. But there's so many people that will be like, yes, I am doing this. It's Monday. I'm starting. And then Friday rolls around and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sick of doing this. I want to do my normal routines. And you're just setting yourself up for failure
Yeah.
without having that support, without having that plan. um, Getting through the holidays. There's plenty of people that they'll go keto, they'll go paleo, and then the holidays roll around. They're like, well, I need Aunt Marge's sugar cake and all this other stuff. And just as another tangent, our holidays have just merged into one continuous food fest. It's you've got January, and then, well, you're cruising right into Valentine's Day. Let's get that chocolate early. And then apparently St. Patrick's, everybody's got cookies and cupcakes. I'm like, when did this all happen? We used to have cabbage.
Right.
What?
Right. My mom would get so excited about the corned beef
Yeah,
and
yeah.
cabbage. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
now everybody's like, well, we got to get the green cookies and the cupcakes. And I'm like, where did all these treats come from? And then Easter's just a food fest. And it's continuous now. And if you think about, none of this would have been bad, so to say, or as toxic for you, if it was just that once or twice a year, a really special occasion, like, oh, you're going to have your favorite cake on your birthday. That doesn't mean you should have it next week and the next person's favorite birthday, and just sugar, 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 sugar. It's really gotten insane,
Yeah.
really out of control.
Yep.
um
That's true.
and so I know we were talking about getting that why. And 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 people really need to find it, and that's why, um healing, your emotional, your physical. You don't have to do anything the way I did, or the way you did, Daniela. People are all different. If they need to heal their physical body first, if they need to heal their emotional body first, whatever works for them, because that's the way it's supposed to be. Is it's all a personal journey.
And going supported, I stand is I know very few. I mean, if you think of all the people you know, and I'll think of all the people I know and have met, all the wonderful students and clients and friends and colleagues and neighbors. I don't know a single person who has taken on their well-being and attending eventually to all the layers on their spiritual path that has done it alone. I know no
Right.
one that has gone unguided um alone.
Because if you could, wouldn't you have done it a long time ago?
Totally. Totally. I didn't know inquiry until I learned methods of how to identify what I'm thinking and believing true, how to tune into the stressful sensations in my body to even clue me in that there was a stressful thought running amok. And and until I was taught. I didn't know how to attend to my emotional body. I thought attending to your emotions meant you call a friend and talk about why you're feeling the reason you're feeling and why that other
Or
person
you just
made you
call a
feel that
friend.
way as a jerk.
Yeah, exactly. You call a friend and complain about somebody.
Yeah, I thought that was processing my feelings. And I'm like, I'm doing the work.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
we can really innocently think we are doing the work. And no offense, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not.
And
So we want
you were
like the
talking about fine, about being fine.
yeah, let's talk
And
about fine. I'm
yeah,
fine.
I mean, eh, I think the big reason I said, "Oh, I'm fine," or I would say, "Yeah, I'm good." That's another great one. Uh, is you're just it's not so much you're lying, but you just don't feel safe telling the truth.
Yeah. And it's big. Telling the truth like that, like you're like, "Well, how long do you have? Like here are all the things."
Yeah.
Like
And,
what
and you
and
have
now
to
what? Over to
admit
you.
things about yourself because I know for me, well, I'm supposed to know everything. And if I'm supposed to know everything, how could I have not known this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Wow. Um, what was your evolution? Like, I love the word freedom. I really think that all our intentions, all our heart's values, all our soul vows, whatever language you like, are rooted in the yearning to feel freedom from XYZ and
Hmm.
freedom to ABC, whatever that is, right? So the freedom from fine means a freedom from something and to something. What was your journey of like to allow the fine to quit you? What were you becoming free from? And what did afford you access of freedom to?
Well, the big thing is it's very easy to just go with the the false sense of security that I'm broken. This is just how I am.
Mm.
This is how it's going to be.
So if I'm broken, I'll help others not be broken, but I'm broken.
Right. And I'm not fixable. Ignore that.
Yeah.
Let's help everyone else because we can support them and watch their journey. But once again, it goes back to being worthy.
Yeah.
Um, not thinking, well, who's going to spend that kind of time on me? Certainly not me. Um, and 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 also looking at, is this possible to even be fixed?
Yes. Yes. That's another that was a huge thought for me. I can find that for myself. I worked with Stephanie. She's an incredible colleague and member of the community. She's a really great healer. And that was my biggie. Was like this feels so big. Like can I even find my way through it to the other side to really be on the other side? Um that's a real biggie for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Mm,
And the self sabotage to
mm,
keep you stuck.
mm,
Um, it's almost like sometimes we're out there proving to ourselves that we're broken.
mm,
And even if you get those little glimmers,
mm.
then that self sabotage starts doing its work, pulling
Mm.
us back, going, all right, well, this is it. This is where we need to be. It's over here. Yeah, I don't know why you're venturing out there. And it also, what I talked to you before we started was like being in your comfort zone. Well, my comfort zone was, being broken over here, broken, not worthy, hidden away. Certainly not doing a podcast.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
But it's doing those things. Like I'm not going to skydive. I don't wish to do that, but some people do that kind of big step because they're like, I want to do this thing that I'm so afraid of, and this is how I'm going to show it. And I'm like, wow, more power to you.
That's their version of massage school.
Exactly. Like it's bad enough getting on a plane. I forget about jumping out of it. Like, oh yeah, that's asking a lot.
Um, hang on, let me see if my question will come back. When you get two vatas in a room, right?
Uh,
Right. Oh my, Christina, I love it. Christina says, I think these topics need a part two or more. I agree. Well, Christina has a question for you in the chat. Let me
sure.
read it to you, Lori. Christina said, I recently found out that when you're on ketogenic diet, oh, remind me to come back to community. That's what I want to ask about. When you're on keto diet, that you need electrolytes. Can you please elaborate on that topic?
Yes. So carbohydrates, uh, when people go on a ketogenic diet, the first thing they notice is like that first week, they're like, whoosh, 7 pounds is gone. And they're like, what? And it's very exciting. And a lot of that is water because carbohydrates hold those fluids, that water in your body and in your muscles. Now, when you're eating the ketogenic diet and it's not staying there, it's it's everything's flushing out, and so it's also flushing out the magnesium, potassium, and sodium, and that's why it's definitely recommended to, you can do electrolytes, you can make your own, salt everything. Like I said, I had high blood pressure and I salt everything, and my blood pressure is like 116 over 69, something just beautiful compared to what it was.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, so electrolytes are definitely recommended. Like the cramping in the legs, that's magnesium. Um, I like Element, which I always say LMNT. Uh, that's just one of my favorites. They taste really good. Um, you can make your own. You can go buy magnesium, potassium, and some salt. Sometimes I tell people, take 2.5 teaspoons of good quality salt, like the Redmond salt or Kalina salt, or different salts like that, Celtic salt. Put in a little bowl and just use that throughout the day. Well, that's that's all the sodium you need. It's not like this mass. You're not eating a cup of salt, but to just freely salt your food. We've been told for so many years that salt is so bad for you. But yes, electrolytes definitely, because your body is just not retaining all that water. Um, I had something. Oh, I had the dairy the other day because every now and then I want to try and say, "Hey, is this dairy
Are we
gonna
good yet?
gonna work? We good yet? A little bit." And it's a no. And the first thing it does is it swells up my hands, and my hands are like completely swollen. Then my joints start hurting, and I'm like, okay, this is still a no. But what that inflammation is doing is it's holding fluid in. Um, and so even with all the salt I have and the electrolytes, and we're talking like I have one electrolyte a day. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need. It's not like drinking them all day long.
Yeah. I just have my electrolytes in the morning. I
Yeah.
blend it with my collagen and my L-glutamine, and I put it in some lemon and a little tiny bit of maple syrup, and down the hatch just once. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
all you need. I love the taste of the Element.
mm.
Um, they've got like lemonade for the summer. It's quite
Mhm.
tasty. But it's just, have that. You don't want to like slam it, because if you slam down, I think it's magnesium, you might have to go run to the bathroom like soon after that. Like it's just a little much for your system to take.
It depends on your system. I would
Yes.
love that problem. Like, like my direction for magnesium is take to bowel intolerance, and I still have not crossed any threshold that I'd love. So, but
Oh,
I had different
gotcha.
issues but I had different issues, right? So every system
Exactly.
is the same.
Every system is different,
Right.
and everybody reacts differently, and everyone's system has, some people have the issue that they had Lyme, and their system really got affected that way. And some people, oh puppy, And some people have the situation where it's the metabolic disease and it's affecting them that way, or uh, they've just eaten so much sugar their whole life. Like I I've known people that have told me that they're vegetarian, but they only eat candy and French fries.
Yes, way decades ago in my vegetarian years, my lunch at 3 o'clock was Swedish fish and coffee.
Oh my God. Oh,
Vegetarian.
it is 100%. It's vegetarian. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Christina, yes, that kind of magnesium is really, really easy on the system. And I'm glad you like the electrolytes that I shared. They don't taste great. There's no yummy flavor in it. That's why I put a lemon juice in it. Um, what I wanted to go back and ask you, the Buddhists have it like I just think so brilliant. They always talk about the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. And in contemporary language, we're talking great education and knowledge, skillful guidance, and a caring community. So, what was the role of the keto community for you when you were learning keto first and foremost for your own well-being before going on to learn to help others? What was the value of the community as you were going through that journey?
Well, it was interesting because there was suddenly a whole group of people that were going through the same thing that I was going through or had already gone through it. Um, and the other thing is, I had done a second challenge. They did them like every other month or something like that. And so, I was the old pro with the second challenge that came in, and the people coming in going, am I eating enough? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And I was able to, hey, try this, and I've made this one, and this is really good. Here's an easy snack to have, or people are like, I'm going out, I don't know what to do. And you know what? You can do everything. It's the same as like an alcoholic that's going to go out and have to navigate parties. You can avoid things forever, and that's a way that it works. But eventually, if you want to integrate and live your life and kind of continue going forward, you're going to be in these social situations where there's temptation, and to understand that and have a game plan ahead of time. Community, that's the place to go.
And people love sharing. For me, I was in AIP communities, and keep in mind, right, when we're embarking on the at the starting point of our healing journey, for many of us, our brains are a little fuzzy. Inflammation causes brain fog and
Hmm.
fatigue, and it's a lot of new information to try to process. And when you feel a little fuzzy, it's a little harder. And our nature is to love to help people along their journey, right? So as the stronger we became and in our own modalities, it was just such a joy to help others that were brand new to their journey and to help with the hacks and help with, how to batch cook for something so you have 18 servings of it in your freezer and
Exactly.
how to be prepared so that you can be successful. You can align your actions with your deepest value, which is your well-being.
And you're talking about being prepared, and I'm going to go back to the fine, because coming on this, my first instinct, or I should say the old Lori, would have tried to over prepare. So I did actually, because I want to be impressive and I want people to like me. And so I didn't do anything this time. And I'm like, let's just see how it rolls. And because I'm tired of fine. It's not benefiting anyone. It keeps that distance. It keeps the barrier up.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. It's like a veil of, and it's lonely. It's
Hmm.
lonely in that world of I'm fine is a lonely, dense world.
And I just wanted to say one more thing. I had pulled this card before I started,
Oh, great.
and I'm going to see if I can.
Okay, I live my life as if I have to live it all over again.
And so, if you had to live your life, the exact same life, all over again, would you be enjoying it, or would you be like, oh, that was not great? So, like from this point forward, how are you going to be living your life as if you had to live it all over again?
I love that. That's a great context. Hence, the name of this podcast is the Love Your Life podcast. We are
Mhm.
here to feel fully alive, not mediocre. We're not here to feel mediocre.
Yeah.
We're here to feel fully alive. And if we can't do it on our own, get help, get support, get people in your court that care about you and are knowledgeable and really can help you. Um, I love that. That's a beautiful card, Lori. Wow.
That was my only preparation for tonight.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I told you this would be useful, but you're talking about what your soul's passion is. Now, before we go, um, ha okay, I have one more question about the physical layer and spirituality. So from where you experience yourself now, because we feel different in all our other layers, our relationship with our mental layer, our
Mhm.
relationship with our emotional layer, when the physical layer is is healing and working its way towards optimal metabolic functioning and balance. What's your relationship with yourself, your spirituality now, with that addition of that of attending to the physical layer?
Oh, that's a great question. So, it's really interesting because everything is just so much easier. And when I say easier, I'm really meaning ease in every part of my life. And when I'm helping someone, I can often see where their um, stagnation is. Uh, but I don't always tell people because that journey to learn what that is really important too. Um, I work with a lot of chronic fatigue patients, and with another friend of mine who is definitely an energy worker, and we will be on opposite sides of the client. And I send my energy through, and she sends hers through, and then I can see like where is that stagnation, where is that stuckness, and we can work from there. Since I've made this balance in my body, in my life, in my my emotional structure is the word that comes. It's kind of like I lived life like out of phase, and now I'm in phase. And so that not only is my body, but my emotional and my spirit body are all working together, and it's just making things so much. It's like, ooh, this is what ease is. This is this is nice. I like this. It's like you've been on that dirty, ruddy road that's got rocks, and you're going all over the place, and all of a sudden you're on that smooth highway going, wow, yeah, I like this. And there's even better out there. So it's that constant journey, because while we're still here, there's always more stuff to work on. It's like, okay, well, what's going to be the next little layer here the little nugget that we're going to find. And it's always something that will help someone else. But now the difference is I help myself too.
I love it. Joy and ease are, there's an effortless access to them when the physical layer is brought into metabolic balance.
Hmm.
And it ripples out, right? Like, do you mind my asking where else, what other areas of your life has this ease and evolution touched and impacted? Um,
Well, I'll tell you one thing. So way back, my friends were not really friends. It was more people that um, just could get things from me or used me as like a ridicule. And there was a time where I just said, okay, well, we're cutting everything off. And that was when I healed that whole emotional, spiritual side of me. But now that the physical side has joined in the party, and that's what it is, um, suddenly I'm finding friends
oh,
and and people that want to talk to me, and I want to share back with them, where there's always been that kind of blockade. And and really it wasn't that there was a block between me and that other person. The block was between me and me. It was because I wasn't working in harmony. And so how can this disharmonic uh chaos then try to connect with someone else? And I'd wonder why I had cross wires all the time.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I know you. Like you are such a beautiful soul. And you're funny AF and fun and brilliant and wise and caring. Like you are an incredible friend. And my heart is so happy to know that your magnificence is being met by the magnificence of others. Mm.
I give you the chef's kiss.
Ah,
Mwah.
mwah, right? Oof. Um, so Lori, is the best way if somebody wants to talk with you that remote, your business is soulstroll.com, and I'll put that in the comments. You're going to put a video in the comments
Hmm.
that has that info about, come meet your body. And um, so is your website the perfect place for someone to go if they'd like to explore remote
Sure.
or in-person
There's
offerings?
lots of information on my website. I also have a Facebook page, and I have a Facebook group, Conscious Keto Coaching,
Oh,
where
cool.
we'll talk about keto. We'll talk about um, emotions and sabotage, things like that. Um, so any of those ways, I
Okay.
now have an in-person place. I'm super excited about that. I'm working out of the Workwell Foundation East office, and we test chronic fatigue patients, which is where I have an endless supply of chronic fatigue. Um, and yeah, my office is in there. It's great office in the South Hill Business Campus, right across from Ithaca College. And but I do lots of remote. I'm also offering for all the great energy people 25% discount. Use the code Great Energy, all one word, on anything on my website until July 17th. So that's a month.
Oh my gosh, Lori, thank you. That is incredibly generous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will put all of these things in the comments before I go to bed tonight, friends. So you'll have that. But the website is
Yep, Soul
soulstroll.com.
Dash Stroll.
Oh, Soul Dash Stroll. Okay, great, 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 great. I will get all the correct links and I'll link your Facebook groups in the comments and the coupon code, all caps, great energy for 20%
Yes,
off. That is amazing.
25%.
25. 5 even.
Give us 5 more.
Lori, I can't thank you enough for sharing your heart, your journey, your story, your wisdom, your knowledge, and your beauty with us.
Aw, thank you for having me on. I so appreciate it. I always love to talk to you because you're so amazing. And I'm gonna post that video for you so that you can see your sister. Uh,
Okay.
your sister Maria that you didn't know you had.
So cool. So cool. And we'll do a follow-up part two because I know we just scratched the surface. And Christina says, "Oh, this is so sweet, Christina." She says, "The role of community cannot be overstated. This podcast is so soulful and has made me even more curious AF. Thank you both." And Christopher behind the scenes. Thank you, Christopher. Christopher pushed all the buttons where we would not be here with you. Lori, thank you for who you are in the world. And thank you for sharing your journey just so beautifully and authentically. I've always loved your how you live your self-honesty, how you hold that as one of your highest values, and it has just perpetually steered your ship, right? Just you being honest with you and taking that next step and that next step, whatever it is you hear, and trusting that call and that impulse and the pull. And so many are benefiting from your journey. So thank you.
You're welcome and thank you. And we're not here to be fine. We're here to be alive.
Fully, radiantly.
Fully alive.
I love you. Lori, when I push the button, it's all going to go poof. Okay.
Okay. I love you.
I love you. I'll see you soon. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Christina.
Bye.
And we'll
Thank
see you
you.
all soon. Okay. Bye now.